Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock. John Fuller is in the studio. Today is September 16th, 2015. You are being told the date simply because if it's the same date on your calendar, then you're listening to a live show, September 16th, 2015. And that means your calls are invited. The number is 622-9622. If you have a legal question, a legal concern, whether it's yours or perhaps somebody in your family or in your workplace, somebody who's a friend, call John and see if he can perhaps set you on the right path. John is an attorney here in Ocala at the law firm of Fuller & Fuller, and this program is called Legally Yours. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning to all of our listeners. We enjoy being back in the studio. I think I had a conflict in my schedule last week, and I always hate to miss, and I am very appreciative of the people that listen. I spoke with a friend of mine just a few days ago, and he said he listens to the show frequently. And you know him, I think. It's Mr. Bob Houdt.
Oh, okay,
Bob,
yes, sure.
Bob originally, I think, owned this station.
He sure did, yeah.
Started with it sometime back in the 60s, and I will just say this for Bob's benefit, he was known as the boy wonder of radio because he was one of the youngest owners, and he developed disc jockeys. Before then, high school dances either had a jukebox or a band, but he put together people that worked at his radio, and they started going to parties, and before Bob, that hadn't been done in Ocala.
I didn't realize that.
And he's just a wonderful person, great radio man, and once or twice, 20 years ago when he had it, I was invited during like Law Week to put on a little 10-minute or 15-minute presentation. And I can't tell you how completely intimidated I was by the process. I mean, this is your profession. You do this every day.
Right.
You have a console that looks like what they use to send men to the moon with.
Not quite, but
and you have a timer that you live by.
Right.
And it's a multitask job that you do with such fluency and ease. And I've done this show now almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was very, very nervous and intimidated when I started it. And I want to thank our listeners for calling in. I also want to hearken back to 20-something years ago when Bob said, when I walked in the studio the very first time to do a 10-minute little interview for Law Week, and he said, "Be yourself." And
good advice.
And that's really good advice in anything you do. For lawyers trying cases, be yourself. If you go before a jury and you try to do it like some other great trial lawyer who you've seen, number one, you're going to fall flat on your face, and number two, it's going to look fake. So what makes this show is talking with you about legal issues in general. I've told all our listeners if they have a specific problem, and I encourage them, if they've been in a serious accident and they want to talk to us about that. I'm a board-certified civil trial lawyer. I specialize in handling civil trials, which include personal injury, wrongful death with serious injuries. Give us a call. Our phone number is 352-547-4292 at the law firm of Fuller & Fuller, and you can get all of our background information, training, experiences, all of that on our website, which is ocala-lawyer.com. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Radio is a great medium to meet and communicate with people, and we have some very educated and sophisticated listeners who ask very good questions, and for that I am exceedingly appreciative.
I think that's pretty true of all talk radio listeners. By the way, talking about being yourself, I think my favorite part of your shows is when something is asked and you suddenly go into attorney mode. Because then we can see you as you probably are in the courtroom, as best as we're going to see in a radio show.
Well, I do that kind of, part of it is just my nature and personality.
Natural, yeah.
And having done this for 42 years and tried well over 100 cases in circuit, in state, federal court, criminal, civil, that sort of thing. But I will tell you, what people see on television, it has nothing to do with the reality of what goes on in a courtroom every day in America, day to day. And so sometimes teaching or illustrating by way of an example, like cross-examination, I'll sometimes lapse into a little vignette of a potential cross-examination. I hope it is enlightening to the people to see what trial lawyers do at trial and what that skill set needs to be, because the dramatics of TV being entertainment is a false premise. It's the same thing with, I'm sure, if you talk to any of our friends or colleagues in the medical profession, what you see in the doctor shows are far removed from the reality of what goes on in the emergency room or the operating room of a hospital. In fact, I know it does because my wife and law partner, Janet Fuller, before she went to law school and became a lawyer 27 or 8 years ago, was a registered nurse at Shands Teaching Hospital in Gainesville for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So I know she has been inside a Trauma One medical center at the highest level as a registered nurse, and certainly seen the reality of that.
By the way, I referred an old friend to your wife because I knew of her reputation for being able to help somebody with Social Security disability.
That is what Janet focuses her practice on.
And he called her, and I don't know the details, but apparently I guess it worked out okay. I don't know if he and her have if he became a client or not. But.
I don't know either. Social Security disability law is a very specialized area of the law. And it is an area of the law that I do not practice in. So I know little or nothing about Social Security disability cases. Janet, for many years, has focused her practice and does well over 90% of her legal practice is focused on representing people who are unable to work, who have been denied their Social Security disability claim and are requesting a hearing before an administrative law judge. Right. And she has hearings every week just about. She was in one this week. She was in Orlando twice last week. That's what she does. And so if our listeners or your friends or anybody's family or friends have been denied their Social Security disability claim, then Janet Fuller, again, the number 352-547-4292, or you can check online, ocala-lawyer.com. All of Janet's background experience, information about the Social Security system, all of that is there, and I know she would be happy to talk. Sometimes people don't have a case. I don't know the details for what controls that, because that's the area of her practice and not mine, and I'd be like a fish out of water trying to answer that. But she can address those questions, and she'd be happy to. And if anyone has been denied a Social Security disability claim and would like to consult with Janet, that consultation for Social Security disability, we don't charge a fee for it. You she doesn't get paid unless she makes the recovery.
We are up to the break, so let's take a little break, and we'll be right back. Remember, the phone line is open. If you want to call John, the number is 622-9622. Today is September 16th, just to indicate that you're listening on to a live show. If it's not September 16th, then you're not listening to a live show. But we'll be right back with John Fuller after this.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, more clouds and sun, along with a couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 82 to 86. There'll be a shower and thunderstorm around tonight. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies overnight, low 71 to 75. For tomorrow, considerable cloudiness with a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms around, high 82 to 86. And for Friday, variable cloudiness with a couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 85 to 89. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
I thought I told you to call Mike Scott Plumbing to get this leak fixed.
I did call the plumbers. They were just here.
Let me get this straight. You're telling me Mike Scott Plumbing was just here?
Well, not exactly.
Well, then who exactly was here?
You know, the other plumbers. They were having a sale.
Is that why there's duct tape on my toilet?
Wait, I don't see any, that duct tape. Well, at least it matches the grout color.
There's a reason we only call Mike Scott Plumbing. They're on time, every time. They don't charge extra for nights, weekends, or holidays. And most importantly, and I need you to pay attention on this part, they actually fix it.
Okay, so you want me to try to fix it?
Yes, I do. By calling Mike Scott Plumbing, like you should have done in the first place.
Yes, dear. What's the number again?
You really should know this by heart. 866-314-4443.
Got it. 866-314-4443.
on next week's episode of What Not to Do.
Seriously? A helicopter?
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood. And when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
All right, 12 minutes before 11 o'clock. John Fuller is here. The show is called Legally Yours, and it means yours. If you want to call in, the number is 622-9622. Today is September 16th. I have a real quick question about veterans. It seems like veterans sometimes have, if they have a case that has to do with their service, they have to bring it to an attorney before a certain date. Like there's paperwork with a deadline on it. And a lot of times they don't know about those deadlines. They get them in the mail. They don't even look at them.
I have not had any experience with making claims for VA benefits or VA. I do know lawyers who I refer my clients to who have an issue like that, who specialize. They basically spent a lifetime in military.
Right.
Many of them were in the Judge Advocates Corps, which means they're lawyers in the military. They specialize in doing that. Just like we were talking about, Social Security is a very disability is a very specialized area with its own body of law, its own set of rules and procedures, its own judges. Everything is unique to that body of law. VA claims are oftentimes they are specialized, and I do not handle that. But I know people who are very good. They're in Orlando area or wherever, so I'm happy to give someone a referral.
All right, you do have a phone call. Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Hey, good morning, John.
Hey, how are you today?
Your field. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think so. How are you?
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. If a neighbor's tree branches hangs over your property, can you cut them off?
Yes.
Okay.
You can cut it back to the property line.
Okay. Now, who has to dispose of what I cut off?
You
Any
do.
idea?
You do. Because
I do?
it's over your property. You cut it back to the line. It then is on your property, and you have the duty to dispose of it. Your neighbor does not have a duty to prune his tree to your satisfaction to the property line. Trees grow the way nature makes trees grow. If you don't like the limb over your property line, you have the right to dispose of it, but he doesn't have the duty to do that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep. Appreciate you calling.
That was great.
Yes, sir. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, and thanks for taking the time to call us.
Thank you. So are we just out of luck totally if, let's say you get into an accident and you don't go to the doctor, and what is it, 14 days?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say 15 days later you start to feel something and you never went in the first 14 days, and it develops and it's become serious. Are we out of luck? Is there anything that...
Well, your PIP coverage is diminished. Most PIP, which stands for Personal Injury Protection Coverage, is a part of your automobile insurance policy. People may have different deductibles, but essentially that's what you have, that without the determination of anybody's fault, if you're injured in an automobile accident and you go to a hospital, a doctor, a nurse practitioner, a PA, an osteopathic physician, you can't go to a naturopath, you can't go to a chiropractor, you must go to someone in the medical field that I've just stated. If you don't do that in a timely manner, this new law passed maybe 2 years ago now. We've talked about it. I alerted everybody that it was coming. It was rammed through the Florida legislature by Governor Scott on the last day. In my opinion, and based upon looking and reading the legislative notes and the committee notes and how it happened at the 11th hour, it was purely a political quid pro quo. That's personal opinion. I'm not taking political sides. I'm just talking about the reality of politics, and I don't think anyone would argue with me that doesn't happen at the political level. But in any event, it's a law that was pushed through by the insurance industry, and if you don't seek medical examination in a timely manner from an accident, an automobile accident, your personal injury protection that you purchased and you paid for $10,000 of benefits is cut to $2,500. That starts off. Now, if the other party who is at fault, negligent, breached a duty, caused the accident, caused your injuries, the injuries resulted in damages, you have all those elements that we've talked about many, many times on this program, and you end up with a permanent impairment as a result of this injury, or a permanent aggravation of a pre-existing condition. Many people don't know that. But if you had previously injured back that had back surgery, but your back was fine before the accident, it didn't cause you pain, it didn't cause you stiffness. Now you're in another automobile accident, and all of a sudden your back injury from the past has now been aggravated or exacerbated or precipitated by the new event of trauma. And that's a permanent aggravation. Then you may file a negligent lawsuit against the at-fault party. Hopefully that at-fault party has liability insurance. Hopefully they have enough liability insurance. More importantly, every driver ought to purchase as much uninsured motorist coverage for themselves as they can possibly afford, because that's the part of your policy which, if somebody else's negligence causes your injury and they don't have insurance, or they don't have adequate amount of insurance, and they have no other assets, then you have a claim against your uninsured, or it's also called underinsured. Let's say the guy who or person who hit you has $10,000 worth of liability insurance, and you have $100,000 worth of medical bills. and they say, here's our $10,000. That's all we have, and he has no assets. He doesn't even own his car. He owes more on it than it's worth.
Okay.
Then you have a claim against your own insurance because he was underinsured for your damages. So you file a claim against your insurance company, and hopefully you have sufficient uninsured motorist coverage, underinsured motorist. It's the same thing, and that would then provide you with money to compensate you for your damages, your out-of-pocket expenses, medical expenses, lost wages, inability to enjoy life, pain, suffering, mental anguish. If you're married, a consortium claim for your spouse. Consortium meaning all of the things that go into the marital relationship that are affected when one partner to a marriage is injured. You can't damage one half of a partnership without affecting the other part of the partnership.
True.
So that's the way that would work. But I always encourage people, for no other reason, that's the legal reason. That's the insurance loophole that you have to worry about, if you will. But more importantly, people walk by and wave. If people see that, you have a huge picture window looking out on the entrance to the mall. And so that's nice folks who say hi. If you have an injury, you need to go to the doctor and get it documented, because many times, if it's documented, even if it shows up much worse later on, you've done the thing necessary to document.
Right.
Because some of these injuries are slow emerging injuries. I had a client who was injured seriously in a car wreck. His most obvious injury was a compound comminuted fracture of his thigh bone that was sticking out of the skin.
Oh, my goodness.
He had multiple surgeries.
Oh, my goodness.
And then he wasn't getting fusion. And he was in and out of the hospital, and that was the primary focus for obvious reasons.
Sure.
About 6 or 8 weeks after that, he had been discharged from the hospital. He was admitted on an emergency basis. He had suffered a micro tear of his diaphragm, the membrane that separates your lungs and chest from your intestine. And after being able to be out of bed and up and around on crutches after his surgery, this micro tear unraveled like a wet Kleenex.
Oh, my goodness.
And all of a sudden,
he couldn't breathe?
He doggone near died.
Oh, man.
And so they rushed him back into emergency surgery, and he was in the hospital again for months. That was related to the accident. It didn't show up immediately on the CAT scan. But those things happen. The human body is a mystery. It's not like working on an old V8.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope I haven't gotten on my soapbox.
Well, no, but you once before emphasized the importance of uninsured motorists. And so just recently, because of an accident I had a few weeks ago, I changed my insurance and I got the uninsured motorist
Oh, thank
part
goodness.
of it. So
I tell everybody that.
Because you made a really good case for it once before, and so and in fact you said they won't really emphasize it because it's not.
They don't make a lot of money on it because.
And that's exactly what happened.
People who usually hit you, or who drive negligently, or who drive intoxicated, they don't always care about being financially responsible for the consequences of their actions. And therefore, the people that are hurt and have a UM claim are usually big claims by responsible people, and the insurance company have to pay out a lot of money. So it's not a big profit margin for them. The law changed 7 or 8, 10 years ago because the insurance agents were telling people, now I can save you $57 on this premium. You don't need that if you don't want to have UM.
Right.
And they would say, oh, okay, well, I just want full coverage.
That's right. That's right.
And the law said, wait, we want to make this a little more clear cut. So now when you purchase your insurance, they have to advise you in writing of your right to purchase UM. And if you don't want it, you have to make a written rejection, checking the box that I have been advised of my right, I am rejecting that right, and you have to sign it. And if you don't do that, you can still hold them to uninsured motorists, whether it's in the policy or not.
Oh, man. Sean, what is your phone number again?
It's 352-547-4292. Our toll-free number is 855-534-2565. The website is ocala-lawyer.com.
All right. Call us if you need that repeated. We'll be glad to do that for you. And, of course, share this video with everybody you know because it's good information. John Fuller, thank you for what you do.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, we'll be right back.
From the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. Growing tensions among the migrants trapped at the Serbian border with Hungary.
A crowd of maybe 2,000 migrants on the Serbian side of the border protesting about the fact that Hungary is not letting them in. But they were sort of being left to get on with it. But now you can hear the police helicopter above.